Well, good morning or good afternoon or good evening, wherever you are in the world following this. Very nice that you've all been able to join this webinar, and thank you very much indeed for so doing. We're going to be talking today about the investment opportunities in the tourism sector in the Maldives, and I'm delighted and honoured to be the moderator for this panel discussion. It's been far too long since I've been to the Maldives, and something I hope to redress in the not too distant future. I'd like particularly to thank the Minister for joining us today, as well as the High Commission in London for their support. The Maldives has been a member of CWEIC for, I think, about 3 years now, and we're absolutely delighted to be able to convene this discussion today. For those of you who are on this webinar, perhaps for the first time, who don't know much about CWEIC, we're a not-for-profit organisation operating right across the 56 countries of the Commonwealth. We have a mandate from the Commonwealth Secretariat Heads of Government to promote trade and investment across the 56 nations. We convene business forums, particularly at the time of the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting. We did the last one, the last CHOGM in Kigali. We're doing the next one in Samoa. We also introduce companies to one another right across the Commonwealth. There's something called the Commonwealth Advantage we'll probably be hearing about today, whereby it's more cost effective to a factor of about 21% for one company in a Commonwealth jurisdiction or country to do business with another one on account of a common language and a common legal system. And that Commonwealth Advantage, we cannot talk about that enough. It's something we really need to bear in mind. If anyone would like to know more about CWEIC and also our Commonwealth Legal Network, which is part of us, where we've got an established network of legal members across the Commonwealth. If you want to do business in unfamiliar jurisdictions, it's a very good entry point. It's all there waiting for you to take advantage. So I'm delighted to be joined here today by Dr. Mausoom, Dr. Abdulla Mausoom, who is the Minister of Tourism for Maldives, and also Dr. Nayaz. Dr. Nayaz is the economic, Dr. Hussein Nayaz is the economic secretary at the Ministry for Foreign Affairs, and joining us from a very smart looking office, I think in Male, probably, and a distinguished panel of experts from across the Commonwealth. And we're going to be discussing opportunities available to you all in the Maldives and facilitate the exchange of best practices and success cases amongst our panelists, who of course represent other countries such as Rwanda and Malta. Before we actually progress with the discussions, let me just highlight some of the background to the thinking behind this webinar. We know that the Maldives holds a special place in the world of tourism. It's not just a destination, it's a vital sector that fuels the nation's economy and contributes to over a quarter of its GDP, offering employment opportunities to more than half of its population. And these numbers are impressive. In 2022, despite the challenges posed by the pandemic, which we were all adversely affected by, the Maldives, in fact, welcomed over 1.6 million tourists, which is an absolute testament to its enduring appeal. Maldives government recognizes the critical importance, as you would imagine, of sustainable tourism, and they're trying to strike a balance between economic development and preserving the pristine natural environment. And they've identified that as being the key way forward and a way to have a lasting positive impact. So there's an incredible increase in the demand for luxury tourism in the Maldives that continues to grow, and there's a need for additional accommodation that caters to the preference of travelers and provides a diverse investment opportunity. So that's the brief background. And before I hand over to our panelists, a little housekeeping. We'll start with some welcoming remarks from Dr. Hussein Nayaz, who, as I've said, is the Economic Secretary for the Economic Cooperation at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Dr. Nayaz will then invite the Minister for Tourism, Dr. Abdulla Mausoom, to address the webinar, and this will in turn be followed by a short presentation by the Ministry of Tourism. We will then go into the panel discussion. If you'd like to put a question to our panel, please use the Q&A feature, and I'll do my best to cover as many questions as possible and put those to the panel. Don't worry if you're on the panel and you've joined a little bit after I started, because I'll be introducing you anyway. I'm now going to hand over, without further ado, to Dr. Nayaz.
Thank you, sir. Minister of Tourism of the Republic of Maldives, His Excellency Abdulla Mausoom, Deputy Chair of the Commonwealth Enterprise Investment Council, retired Honorable Lord Swear, panelists from the government and the private sector, representatives from the Ministry of Tourism, Ministry of Economic Development, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, distinguished guests, Assalamu alaikum, and a very good afternoon to you. Let me begin by extending a very warm welcome to all the panelists and invitees joining this session today. Today's webinar, entitled Exploring Investment Opportunities in the Maldives Tourism Sector, Sustainable Development Models and Direct Investment, is a collective initiative of the Commonwealth Enterprise and Investment Council and our High Commission in London. This webinar provides an excellent opportunity to exchange and share insightful and valuable information on the tourism sector in the Maldives. The Maldives tourism sector undoubtedly has been key to the country's development successes that we witness today. Since tourism was introduced in the Maldives in 1972, the industry has now become the backbone of the Maldives economy, directly contributing to 40% of the economy, 80% of exports, and half of total revenues through the tourism sector and related services. It is also the source of well over 2/3 of the foreign currency influx to the country. Last year, the Maldives celebrated the golden jubilee of our tourism industry. The government now focuses on sustainable tourism, which takes full account of its current and future economic, social, and environmental impacts. As a small island developing state, Maldives is incredibly grateful for the constant support and assistance we receive from the Commonwealth, and our people are deeply appreciative of the opportunities we receive in different areas of development. I would like to extend my deepest gratitude to CWEIC for taking the initiative to conduct such a webinar in coordination with the Government of Maldives. I'm confident that this webinar will pave the way for enhanced cooperation and collaboration, and as a stepping stone to fruitful ventures that stem out of this session. I also thank the panelists for taking time out of your busy schedules to be here with us today. We are delighted to be joined here by individuals of such high caliber who will share their experience, knowledge, and wisdom with us all. With their expertise to guide the discussions today, I'm confident that this webinar will be a great success. Let me also extend my sincere appreciation to Her Excellency Dr. Farhanaz Faisal and her team at the High Commission in London for the initiative in organizing this timely and important webinar. Through the High Commission, we are confident that we will be able to keep these conversations active to ensure good outcomes. I also note that extraordinary work our colleagues from the Ministry of Tourism have been doing to promote and position our tourism product in the world. I believe that by the end of this session, all participants will gain sufficient information about investment opportunities available in the tourism sector of the Maldives. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, once again, I thank all of you for joining with us today in this session. While the time allotted for this webinar might not be ample for in-depth discussions, our High Commission in London remains eager to help you explore how you can invest in the Maldivian tourism sector and connect with us even after this session. I wish this webinar every success. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much indeed, Dr. Nayaz. That was great. I hope everyone heard you. I found it a little bit difficult, but did everyone else hear Dr. Nayaz all right?
Yes,
Yep.
I heard.
You heard. It's just my encroaching deafness in that case. But anyway, thank you for those very good opening remarks. I'm going to hand over now to Dr. Abdulla Mausoom, the Minister of Tourism for the Maldives, and ask him for his remarks.
Thank you. Deputy Chairman of the Commonwealth Enterprise and Investment Council, CWESA, Lord Swear, speakers, panelists, ladies and gentlemen. Very special day today because we are starting a very meaningful webinar, and it coincides with the launching of our fifth master plan. The tourism is the industry of the Maldives. It contributes to nearly 50% of our GDP directly, and indirectly 80% of the GDP. And tourism investment is of immense importance for us as we head on to the tourism in the coming years, focusing on our master plan, which has got a very strong focus on sustainable tourism development. Maldives seeking to be the world's leading sustainable tourism destination. There is a very strong focus on various aspects of sustainability there. We want tourism to be inclusive, tourism to be accessible. The main drive, in addition to providing the necessary infrastructure for the industry to sustain well, Maldives being an island nation in the middle of the Indian Ocean, air access is critical, hence a lot of international airports need to come up in the future. We have at the moment got main airport in the central Maldives, Vela National Airport, but also we are developing two airports at the extreme south and extreme north of the Maldives, and other airports will come, international airports and domestic airports, we will have 20. And the internal connectivity for domestic tourism is going to be very good because we have got a smaller airports in almost all the atolls, ensuring that from each island, people can reach an airport within a maximum 30 minutes by boat ride. And we are starting our version of the underground tube of the Rajah transport link RTL that is already started. It's a very affordable way of commute in the Maldives. We have already connected 4 atolls of north, and from Abdu atoll, from Huadu in the south will be linked this July. The main change, main development, we still want to focus on our one island, one resort concept, which is the key product of the Maldives. We want to make sure that Maldives shine as the lead destination in terms of whatever there is quality. So that's where I think we seek investors to come with their creativity, and we have reformed our legislative agenda. We have reformed our development guidelines to give rooms for creativity. But 2 things: safety and security plus environment. These are 2 areas we don't compromise. And in addition to the resort sector, of course, we have got the brilliant safari sector that in our presentation you are going to see today, all the product portfolio. But safari sector gives you the chance to see the places that nobody has been to. The main focus of our new development is on community-based tourism, ensuring that the principles of sustainability are really taken care of in the islands. Economic distribution to the whole community, ecosystems being protected and utilized for tourism development, cultures revived, women empowered, youth empowered. So I'm really delighted that we have got a huge area of experts here who can shed some light into investment and development. For Maldives, we look forward to welcoming you for the new developments where we say the Maldives is the land and seas of opportunities, because so little land, but much sea. I wish everybody success in this webinar, and I wish to thank High Commissioner Dr. Farhaz for her initiative, and everybody else engaged in this one. Of course, the potential investors, tourism ministry team, and MED team. Needless to say, foreign ministry has been very supportive to Ministry of Tourism, not only today, yesterday and day before yesterday. In good times and bad times, you have been our partner. And I wish to thank Commonwealth and Commonwealth's CWEIC for your engagement in our development. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much indeed for that. I think we have do we have a small presentation now that we're going to watch to whet our appetites?
Yeah, I think Shinan is starting that.
Yeah, I hope you can hear me clearly. Am I audible?
Yes, I can
Shinan,
hear
very
you
loud
clearly.
and clear, as though you are yes, sitting right here.
All right, yeah. Deputy Chairman of CWEIC, Lord Swear, Honorable Minister Dr. Abdulla Mausoom, and the senior officials from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Maldives High Commission in London, and other attendees to this forum. A very good morning to those in London, and a very good afternoon to those joining from the Maldives. My name is Shinan. I'm the Deputy Director General at the Ministry of Tourism, and today we'll be looking into some of the insights into the investment opportunities within the Maldives tourism sector. So in this presentation, we'll start off with a short introduction about the Maldives and looking into our vision, the Maldives tourism sector, followed by an overview of the Maldives as a destination, and lastly, looking into the investment opportunities available. So tourism in the Maldives started in 1972 at a very small scale, but currently we have 170 tourist resorts operating in the country and more than 1,000 tourist accommodation facilities operating. So with our islands lying just 1 meter above sea level, it is key that sustainability is maintained in tourism development to protect our fragile ecosystem for future generations. So the Maldives is here you can see that the Maldives is a small island nation located in the Indian Ocean. So we are comprised of 1,192 small islands with a population of more than 500,000 as per the last census we conducted. Here you can see some important milestones of the Maldives tourism industry from when tourism began in 1972. So the tourism master plans formulated by the Ministry of Tourism since 1983 have been very vital in guiding the strategic direction for the tourism industry of the Maldives. The latest master plan, as Minister has mentioned, the 5th tourism master plan was formulated in collaboration with ADB and launched this year. In fact, last month, which highlights 15 key priority goals for the tourism sector, all centered around sustainability. Looking into our vision, in line with the 5th tourism master plan, the Maldives strives to be the best example of sustainable tourism development, not just in an environmental context, but also in maintaining cultural resources, value for the people, and also economic profitability as well. So sustainability focus, of course, starts off with the environment and follow through to socio-cultural sustainability and then economic sustainability and ultimately safety and security of both the local communities as well as the tourists who comes to the Maldives. So from here, we'll have a short overview of the Maldives tourism industry. We have 5 international airports in the country throughout the Maldives, 1 in south, 2 in the north, and 2 in the central region. And here you can see the various airlines that operate to the Maldives. As of June 2023, we do maintain a very liberal aviation policy in the Maldives. These are the number of operating tourist facilities in the Maldives. As of June 2023, we have 4 types of accommodation in the country, tourist resorts, tourist guest houses, tourist hotels, and also the liverboats, which we call safaris. Looking at the GDP contribution, tourism is the mainstay of the economy, and tourism has maintained its position as the #1 contributor to the GDP, which accounts for 21.4% at the end of 2021. This shows the yearly tourist arrivals. As of June 2023, we had almost 836,000 so far this year tourists to the country. Looking at into the average duration of stays of tourists, it has fluctuated over the years, 7.2 nights in 2020 to an average of 8.7 nights in 2021 and back to 8 nights in 2022. These are the top markets. As of June 2023, the top markets are India, Russia, UK, Germany, Italy, respectively. So now we'll be looking into Maldives as a destination. So Maldives is marketed under the slogan, the sunny side of life. And here you can see the notable achievements the Maldives have accomplished within the past years. The Maldives have been awarded the world's leading destination award past 3 years. And we have also obtained the WTTC Safe Travel stamp in 2020. One of out of the many key unique selling points, the main unique selling point is that the Maldives Islands are self-contained with total privacy. And also recently with the enactment of 10th Amendment to the Tourism Act, the Maldives tourism products can now be greatly diversified and new USPs can be developed with products such as integrated tourism development projects, strata villas, and also private islands is also now allowed in the country. From here, we'll be looking into the investment opportunities and procedures within the Maldives. So you might be wondering, why should you be investing in the Maldives? So we have a very liberal investment policy, strong legislative frameworks, and tax incentive. Investors are assured an excellent return on their investment. So Maldives becomes an ideal destination for thriving investments. We also focus greatly on sustainable tourism development, and some policies set forth in this regard are the environmentally conscious construction policies, including but not limited to the restricted reclamation, and also we focus on low carbon development in the country. As I mentioned before, with the 10th Amendment to the Tourism Act, the Maldives tourism product can be now diversified, and also we allow now integrated tourism development projects in the country with strata villas, private islands. And also with the change to the Tourism Act, land rent, there has been a change in the land rent, and the lease period extensions have also been enacted through this change in the Tourism Act. So the initial tourism lease, which we give for 50 years, can now be extended up to 99 years in the Maldives. And also the land rent, here you can see the land rent also now varies according to the geographical locations. So with lower rates for areas that needs tourism development or tourism projects more. So we'll be sharing you the presentation after this webinar so that you may refer to this later. Here we have the Sustainable Tourism Investment Framework, which is a holistic approach that we implement from the island selection process through the bidding, and also continued even when islands come into operation. So before we select an island, a thorough consultations are held within the communities in the nearby islands and relevant government authorities as well. So after this, an initial environmental examination will be conducted before we choose any island for bidding or leasing for tourism development. Looking at the sustainable development policies, and environmental impact assessment shall be done before commencing any physical development on the island. And also it is only allowed per guideline to build structures on 50% of the island land. And the current boundary regulation that we have in place by default acquires 500-meter boundary in the lagoon area surrounding a resort, and also ensuring the privacy of the guest. And this can also be now extended up to 1,000-meter with approval from the Ministry of Tourism. And also it is required by our guidelines that 3-meter beach length is left for every bungalow, again ensuring the total privacy for the tourists visiting the country. And apart from that, we also ensure during the development phase equal open spaces on the island, and also priority is given to water conservation and water management within the island. Moving on, there are numerous ways that the sustainability tourism framework is incorporated into our daily operations in the resorts as well. This goes from steps such as utilizing solar energy to efforts to banning single-use plastic and groundwater usage. Further, we also prioritize in given to proper waste management methods and utilizing the natural resources efficiently. And as mentioned before, priority is also given to maintaining the local staff parity and maintaining and showcasing the cultural heritage of the island as well. So from here, I'll just briefly explain you the bidding process of bidding of tourist resorts. So on this slide, you will see the full process followed by the Ministry of Tourism for leasing of islands and lagoons, starting from the announcement to the selling of bids, followed by information sessions and bid submissions. So once bids are submitted, the bids are evaluated, and once completed, a letter of award or letter of disqualification will be sent to the bidders, and the awarded bidder will be conditioned to pay the acquisition which they have proposed. And once they meet these conditions, the agreement will be signed between the bidder and the Ministry of Tourism. So under the 10th Amendment to the Tourism Act, the newly introduced the cross-subsidy model was also introduced with the 10th Amendment. How the cross-subsidy model works is the cross-subsidy regulation has opened up the opportunity for leasing desired lagoons or islands for tourism development in exchange for financing the development of projects such as airport developments and also other infrastructural projects that the government has prioritized. So acquisition costs for these islands are also determined by a formula which is also published on our website as well as on the government gazette. Here you can see how the cross-subsidy procedures works from the submission of proposal to the approval to the payment of the acquisition cost. So I would like to emphasize here, cross-subsidy model is where any potential investor who wish to invest in the country can come and invest in without participating in an open bidding. Yeah, that's all. Thank you so much for taking your time. I hope my presentation was useful. Thank you.
Your presentation was extremely useful, and I'm sure has raised a lot of questions. So thank you very much indeed. I'm just going to ask each panelist now to briefly introduce themselves and to say where they're from and what they do. And there are points for brevity because we're up against it time-wise. And I'd like to start off with Ray Bessina, who's Director of DB Group Malta. Ray.
Thank you, first of all, for the opportunity to be able to join in this discussion and information session. As you correctly said, I represent DB Group, which is a fast-growing hospitality and company. We're branching out we have other interests such as healthcare, but I can go into that at a later stage. Basically, I'm a director with the group. And I see a lot of similarities with what I'm hearing, being Malta such a small island state as well. It is very highly affected by climatic changes in the Mediterranean. And I look forward to be able to share with you other insights as this webinar progresses.
Well, thank you very much, Ray, and I hope you've recovered from all the excitements of the wedding a few weeks ago now of your boss. Not of your, it wasn't his wedding, but he was the host, obviously. Thank you. Mohammed Ali Jinnah, I haven't seen you on my panel. I hope you've joined us today. Are you on the panel?
Hi, Lord, I'm here. Yes, I'm here.
There you
Doha.
are, living you're living the dream on one of the resorts.
No, I'm in a hotel in Doha. It looks like Maldives here.
So Mohammed Ali Jinnah is the chairman of Hotels and Resort Construction in the Maldives. Would you just like to say a little bit about yourself and your company?
Yes, thank you very much, Lord, and thank you, Honourable Minister and Commonwealth Investment Enterprise for inviting me to be part of this session today. We have been involved in the development and construction of resorts for over almost 40 years. And as a contractor, we have built several resorts in the Maldives and overseas. And we are also, I personally am a partner in several resort projects in the Maldives, and we continue to invest and develop resorts around the world and in the Maldives. I hope that that's enough for now.
That's absolutely brilliant. Thank you very much indeed. Ms. Ariella Kagaluka from Head of Tourism and Conservation from Rwanda. I did see you earlier on the panel. I hope you're still with us.
Good morning, good afternoon. Yes, I'm still here.
Excellent.
Thank you very much for having us as the Rwanda Development Board on this incredible panel and session. Honorable Minister and all speakers present. My name is Ariella, like you rightly said. The department I head oversees tourism promotion, tourism product development, and management of national parks. The Rwanda Development Board particularly is a government institution that is mandated with accelerating the economic growth of the country by enabling private sector growth. So we're in charge of investment, government deal structuring with private sector, skills development, tourism, like I said, and also creating the strategy and doing business environment that the private sector continues to enjoy in Rwanda. We're very happy to be here and looking forward to the interactive session later.
Thank you very much indeed. And Sanat Okwati, who is the immediate past president of the Hotels Association of Sri Lanka. Talking of Sri Lanka and presidents, I was pleased to give President Wickremesinghe lunch in my club in London 2 days ago. That's just a little name drop for you.
I'm also a member of that club. Are you referring to Carlton or?
No, another club.
Another club. Okay, sorry. Thank you so much for organizing this webinar, Lord Swear, and I'll be honored to be part of this interesting discussion. As you said, I am the immediate past president. I served as president for 2 terms. I just my term ended in October last year, and I'm also the chairman of the Mount Lavinia Hotel, which, as you all know, it's one of the most oldest hotels in Sri Lanka. And I've been in the chair for 37 years of this hotel. Although I'm not that old, but it's quite some time that long time that I've been involved in the industry. And I also have my own hotel school, which is called the Mount Lavinia Hotel School, International Hotel School of Mount Lavinia. And we do train a lot of people over the years. We have been training over 3,000 students, graduates, diploma holders to take up jobs in the industry. So as we go along, I like to share my other experiences in this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. And we know that the Mount Lavinia's got that lovely beach next door to it too, which is great. And finally, but by no means least, Mr. Ayaz Wahid, who's the executive board member, the Maldives Association of Tourism Industry.
Good afternoon, everyone from Maldives, and good morning for those who are in UK. And thank you, Chairman Lord Swear. And my name is Yaz Wahid, and I'm an executive board member of MATI. And MATI is Maldives Association of Tourism Industry, which has over 100 resorts as members, and mostly resorts we have as our members, and we have other like airlines and banks and other service providers to the industry as members as well. So MATI is the key industry body in Maldives, which has been there for the last 40 years, and we have been working very closely with the governments in formulating the regulations and to the policies, and even the, for example, the master plans with the minister talked about. And so we have been working very closely with the governments to ensure that sustainability and ease of doing business, and so it is more investor friendly, and whether it is local or international. Yeah, so as the discussion goes, I like to answer questions if you have any questions. That's it from my side for now.
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. So to kick off the discussion, I was very interested by what the minister said about the 10th Amendment and the change in the leasehold, for instance. And I just wondered, Minister, does that change, is there a change in thinking about residency? Can people now make the Maldives their home very easily if they want to build a resort or a villa? Can they be domiciled in the Maldives, or are they going to be limited for how many days in the year they can spend there? And my second question is, well, I've got three actually. My second question is, as more and more of the atolls get developed, will there be need, and people perhaps do spend more time there, will there be need for a commercial center on one of the atolls where people can go and work and do business while they're there, or will that still be concentrated mainly on Mali? And my third question is, if people are building their own villas and so forth, I understand the rules and regulations about how much beachfront per villa, etc. But is there going to be any attempt to control the style and size of what people build? Is there a Maldives look, as it were, or are people going to be very free to build what they like? Minister.
Thank you, Excellency. I think Maldives is very open now. So let's start with the first one on residency. Maldives people love it. And our waters are pristine, the air is fresh. And so even the digital nomads, if they wish to come and work here, it's a perfect place. And the senior community who has got pension funds, a big wallet, and they want to live healthier, younger, come here. And because of this need, this huge demand, developers have asked for it, and government has given the freedom to do that. So now real estate tourism is possible. You can develop villas on a residency way, and if you invest also, you get residency visa up to 5 years now, but that is still yet to improve.
And there's no limit on how much time you can spend in any 1 year.
Yeah, on that one, it's totally open. And even with the tourist visa, the everybody gets on arrival 30 days, but easily extendable to 90 days. And we are again in dialogue with our immigration to even do that. So residency is coming very strongly. In fact, even I think it started with pandemic, Excellency, because during that time people stayed and they realized, well, Maldives is a good place to stay for long. And our origination has, as you found from Shinana's presentation, has risen up to 8 now from traditional 6.5 a couple of years back. So that then the next one is the we have got commercial centers has always been our tourism plan. And in our special planning, we have got actually 6 zones scattered across. So, and 2 things, we have to decentralize our population, get the congestion away from Mali. If you come to Maldives, Mali is the most densely populated city now. It's too dense.
I know Mali.
So, yeah, so we need to push them, push the population voluntarily to outer atolls. And that means we have commercial centers and also logistical centers for tourism. We have to have especially to save on how much spend on and the fuel and all that. If we have regional centers, logistical centers, fuel stations, the stocking centers where you don't have to buy everything from Male area. This has been in the plan, and but development of this, we are leaving in the hands of the investors. So that is a go. And finally, with the biggest change that has brought to our tourism law is giving the freedom to develop your dream product. You invest millions and billions of dollars, and we can't simply say develop like this or develop like that. But because One Island One Resort has been very successful, for One Island One Resort, we have got development parameters very strict, especially for environment and safety and security. But the integrated model that we now give room for in our new law gives you the opportunity to develop as you wish. Sky is the limit and underwater is also the limit. And that's what people are doing. We want, in fact, have our product diversification so that Maldives has got a product for all the markets. We want college students to be able to come and experience Maldives. We want also like marine biologists come and stay for a longer period. And the integrated development is the key. And we have already got a huge interest in those type of development. And that will make our product very strong, the whole destination very strong. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister. That's very, very clear. Thank you. Slightly different story, I think, probably in Malta, where, of course, there are so much of it is historic, particularly Medina and Valletta and so forth, historic architecture, and you can't just build what you like, where you like. I wondered, Ray, how tourism, whether there's been a rethink about tourism post-pandemic in Malta and how you see the future developing, and whether or not Gozo is rather underdeveloped in terms of hotels and tourist facilities. But what's your view about balancing community interests and sustainability in Malta?
Once again, thank you, and thank you for this particular question. Just to give some context, because I've been hearing and I've said before, there are a number of similarities which I reckon there are with Maldives. To give you the importance of tourism towards our economy. Basically, tourism contributes 30% to GDP. I'm quoting last year's figures. It contributes 15% of the total employment. Tourist arrivals in 2022 was 2.3 million passengers. And this is comparing to a population of 500,000 people in a country which is basically 300 square kilometers. So you can imagine the challenges which these numbers bring about. You mentioned the challenges. We had our fair share of challenges, like the rest of the world. We had the pandemic hit, and we also last year, basically, our country was grey listed. There were a number of issues which I don't think this is the right forum to go into, but that also contributed to an economic hit and a challenge, which thank God now we're coming out of it and we're rebounding. In fact, quoting from an attractiveness survey, which is an annual survey which is done, we're back to 2020 numbers, whereby it's like 58% attractiveness to invest in Malta. You mentioned correctly the planning, the development challenges. As I said before, this is I don't know the people in this panel who have visited Malta. Once you're here, you can understand this better. Here, everywhere is wherever you build, you leave an impact. Us as a group, we're coming out of a legal challenge for a new hotel which we're building in the point of St. Julian's, which is the foremost tourism zone in Malta, an 8-year challenge, which includes the planning process, and then there was the appeals process, and then there was a legal challenge on the appeals process. So you can imagine 8 years fighting and arguing for a permit, for an investment. So yes, that is the foremost challenge which we face. Most of our resorts are based on the shoreline, and tourism being what it is, the importance which I just mentioned, we have to make sure to keep our resources, because that's the only resource we have. We keep our resources clean and safe. So yes, there's a lot of investment being done in sewage treatment, in other water purification systems, in the electricity, the provision of electricity, because being an island, that is also challenging in itself, because we have to depend on various factors. In fact, recently we had the building of an interconnector connecting our grid to the main European grid. So yes, it's quite challenging, but also it provides encouraging results. Just to conclude,
we know that that Silvio is very ambitious and wants to open up hotels as the group expands around the world. Yes. Hopefully here in the UK too at some point. But might the DB group be looking to have a resort hotel at some point in the Maldives?
Yes, speaking of London, we are planning to open a restaurant, one of our brands, which we introduced in Malta, in London. We're advanced and we've secured a site in central London, and we shall be opening this time next year. Regarding expansion, right now we are in talks to explore and open eventually in the UAE, United Arab Emirates. But yes, we're in the phase of, internationalization of our product. For those who are not really familiar with our group, our main strength in Malta are two quite big by our standards resorts, which are all inclusive, both 500 plus rooms. Very popular with tourists visiting mainly from United Kingdom and other European countries. The bulk is European, but we also get some people from outside Europe. But yes, I followed this presentation and this discussion till now with great interest, and yes, we are considering various opportunities of growth where we can also export this brand, which in Malta has been successful, and we're looking at exporting it.
Good. And when you do decide to do something in the Maldives, hopefully, what better person to speak to than Mohammed Ali Jannah, who has been involved in the something like 53 resort projects, plenty more atolls to do. Mohammed, how do you see, from the comfort of your sun lounger in Doha, how do you see the Maldives expanding, and how are you going to go about helping people like DB Group in Malta if they're interested in developing an atoll somewhere in the country?
Thank you very much, Lord Swear. Actually, the Maldives have done very well post-COVID. The president of the Maldives and his cabinet, especially with the tourism minister, the country was managed as one of the best countries in the world. The result is because the president had a very good consultative process with all the stakeholders, including the industry leaders, and that helped Maldives become a tier 1 country for investors. So as somebody involved in the development of resorts, we see everyday people calling us, trying to do ventures with us. So Maldives is now on the top tier 1 category. This is coming from London during my last visit when I met you. I met some of the investors in London, and they have the appetite, and they said that Maldives have become one of the tier 1 destinations for them to invest, and we are in negotiations with some of them. So like we are in like New York, London, Dubai, and Maldives is in that category. So anybody wanting to invest, Maldives gives you a rate of return of a minimum of about 15 to 20%. So you put $100, you get your money back in 5 to 8 years maximum. So there is no destination which could give a better ADR than the Maldives right now. And Maldives is the darling of the world. So because of the well-managed political system, well-managed economy, and the security the government gives. I'm also the president of the National Federation of Employers as well as the Construction Federation. So the inquiries that come, we do respond very quickly, and the work we do with the various authorities in the government, especially the Ministry of Tourism. Ministry of Tourism is the one-stop shop for everything. That is what makes the Maldives tourism industry a very efficient place to invest where you put your documentation. So the process starts from a foreign investment approval, which can be done in just 24 hours. You get your company registered in 48 hours, and then you go to the government if you want to negotiate, and there are cross subsidy methods. You acquire an island, or you bid for an island. So these processes are quite comparably fast. Like I have a country where we are negotiating, their process only to acquire one land takes 6 months. So this is the reason in Maldives, you can do that within 2 weeks, 3 weeks, provided you do the right application, your due diligence is done, the efficiency is there. And also once you acquire the lease, you get the island, the processes starts, the environmental assessment is done, the master planning is done, all these with the submission. It's only one place, the Ministry of Tourism. This is the success story of Maldives. The Ministry of Tourism takes care of everything for you.
A one-stop shop. That's very
good. A
good.
one-stop shop, yes, exactly.
Thank you, Mohammed.
So this is the success story. So
thank you.
In short, I will say that Maldives is the best to invest.
Well, I think that's a very good slogan, the best to invest. And the minister's laughing.
Thank you.
Like that. Ariella Kagaruka in Rwanda, which we know, of course, where Chogam was, and we know the facilities that are available, particularly in Kigali and some of the resorts and visiting the gorillas and so forth. You just heard there from Mohammed Ali Jana how easy it is to register a company and to bid transparently for an atoll and to get your business up and running and the returns you're going to get. Is there a lesson there for Rwanda, or is Rwanda also as flexible and perhaps aggressive in terms of attracting inward investment?
Thank you again, Lord. We definitely are looking forward to continue to learning from best practices from all over the Commonwealth and other countries. But in Rwanda particularly, we've been working quite aggressively to improve doing business environment. Currently, Rwanda is ranked second in Africa by the Doing Business report of the World Bank of 2019. And this has been a ranking that we've achieved after numerous reforms that were oriented towards improving the number of hours, decreasing the number of hours that it takes to actually register a business in Rwanda. For example, we currently have about 6 hours to register a business in Rwanda. And in terms of the one-stop center, which is a great platform, we've been working on this as well. And our one-stop center continues to evolve. And recently, we expanded our one-stop center to include every licensing and permit issuing organization of the government to issue licenses and permits that investors require to start their businesses in Rwanda. We have over 22 agencies represented at the Rwanda Development Board that interacts with investors and businesses through our one-stop center. But we also understand that once you invest, the journey is not over. We understand that the investor would want to be handheld through the process, especially when obstacles or hurdles appear on the way. We have, as part of our investment journey, a department called the Aftercare and Reinvestment Department that helps investors and assigns actually account managers to each and every investor to Rwanda, so that the issues can be resolved within this particular platform. And actually, this particular department has even what we call the Investor Day every Friday, where investors are able to come and share their issues in case they are not able to even be discussed on email, so that we can keep the doors open for investors. But we continue to see this improving the way people do business in Rwanda and actually want to reinvest their capital into expanding their businesses. And that has helped us to see some of the luxury or international hospitality brands wanting to create circuits within the country to continue to increase the length of stay of travelers in Rwanda, and also even offer some attractive products for the domestic and the regional traveler as well. And among these, we have the Mantis Collection, which has a number of properties, which manages a number of properties in Rwanda. We have the One and Only, which is a luxury property, which is in areas adjacent to two of our major national parks, the Nyungwe and the Volcanoes National Park, which is home to the gorillas, and many other brands that have chosen to set up in Rwanda. So we see this as a place, tourism as a place that enables not only the economic development of the country, but also the community livelihoods improvement, because as a country, we also have a policy where communities benefit 10% of our tourism revenues directly invested into community projects in many areas, including agribusiness, infrastructure, health care, and others. So the tourism industry has not only been enabling job creation, but also enabling preservation of our biodiversity by reinvesting back these proceeds into biodiversity conservation. So
thank you. I'm going to cut you off there, if I may. But
sure.
Because I want to bring in Sanat Ogwate, we're running very short of time here, from the Hotels Association of Sri Lanka, because I think Sri Lanka sits somewhere between Rwanda and the Maldives in terms of the fact it's got beautiful beaches and all that, but also it's got obviously the tea estates and the highlands, which are more akin to Rwanda. And I just wondered how badly hit was the Sri Lankan tourism economy by COVID? Is it making a good recovery? And also, is there an issue about currency? This is something we haven't addressed either in Rwanda or in the Maldives. Can investors get their money? They can get a good return. Is it easy for them to get their money out, Sanat?
Yes, tourism is considered as an export industry in Sri Lanka, and therefore you can invest your dollars and you can take back your investment profits quite easily. Having said that, we have had our own challenges apart from the COVID pandemic. We had our own economic crisis. So now we are beginning to see a revival of our industry, and we are actually forecasting a very good winter season in the coming winter season. Already the major flights, the airlines are increasing their flight frequencies to Sri Lanka, and we see a 20 to 30% growth this winter season. But having said that, I'm very fond of Maldives tourism industry. I think Sri Lanka and Maldives are complementary destinations because Sri Lanka has also a lot to learn from success of Maldives. Maldives has managed their tourism industry very well. And my congratulations for all the people who are behind the industry, from the government to private sector. It's mainly private sector driven industry, like in Sri Lanka, but government has given the leadership, and with correct policies, they have achieved tremendously well. So I think we can both be a complementary destination, because both have certain variety of activities. We can offer different we are a diverse destination. As you said, Rwanda has the safari parks. We also have one of the best safari parks in this part of the world. Maldives have the finest beaches in the world. So together we can make it a very exciting destination, I believe, especially for the millennials and the Generation Z travelers who are looking for new and authentic experiences. I think we should be more proactive, and we should join hands together and look at the possibility of or possibilities of working together in promoting the twin destinations for today's travelers.
Okay, it's a good time to bring in Mr. Wahid, Iyaz Wahid, the executive board member of the Maldives Association of Tourism Industry. That's a very interesting point that Sanat just made. When you go to the Maldives, you get beautiful beaches, wonderful sun, lovely sea, but you don't get candy and the tea stations and all that. Is this something that the Maldives might do to have a closer link to Sri Lanka, so there's a sort of dual destination visit? Is that some area you're looking at?
Thank you, Rod. Actually, this, if you look at the history of the Maldives, how the tourism has really started, we actually started with Sri Lanka. Actually, the tourists who came to Sri Lanka actually flew over to Maldives for day visits. That is how the tourism actually started in Maldives. Yeah. So I think somewhere in the past 30, 40 years, what has the troubles, what has happened in Sri Lanka has actually made it a bit difficult. And also Maldives has like direct connections now with so many other countries. But I believe always there is something we can always work together with Sri Lanka, as Sri Lanka is a very close neighbor to ours, a very brotherly nation, and I believe there are things we can even currently, as you know, Maldives is a very import based economy, and most of our vegetables and stuff like that also came from Sri Lanka all these years. So Sri Lanka is a very close neighbor, yeah. And I also just want to echo what Mr. Jana also said. Actually, one of the strengths of Maldives tourism is actually, as Mr. Sarath also just mentioned, it is very much private sector driven. So the government does not put their hands in, it's not over-regulated. It's always the good thing about, I think, the Maldives tourism development is it's always the government gives whoever is in power, whichever party is in power, they always give the room for the private sector to innovate, actually. That's why, actually, you could say, actually, Maldives has been, we have been continuously innovating. We started with very simple rooms made out of Cajun leaves in Kurumba, and then we have come up to now to have underwater villas and underwater restaurants, underwater spas. So we have been innovating a lot. So this room has been always given by the government, and the government works very closely with the private sector to actually, whenever there is a problem happens in the tourism industry, to revive it and to seek advice. And so one good example is how we recovered from COVID, actually. So
can I just ask you one question? I'm afraid, given the time we've run out, this is going to have to be the concluding question. But given the 10th Amendment and the changes and the opening up really to private villas and private resorts, and I think I asked the Minister this at the beginning, to retain control over the feel and the specialness of the Maldives as a tourist destination, you would presumably not be keen to have a huge resort like Atlantis that they have in Dubai, or one of these huge resorts. That's not the way you're going, or you're quite open to that sort of thing?
I think the Maldives is the beauty of our geography enables us to do everything. So we can still have a private airport where ultra luxury jet will come there with a millionaire, billionaire movie star football player, and they will land there, and their private transport will take them to their private resort, private ultra luxury holiday. So that will remain. But at the same time, there will be certain atolls where the development will be more managed but are higher in volume. So that the two things. One is the 20 or so airports we are making in the Maldives make the life of Maldivians live a quality life, have air transport and all that. We need a certain critical volume. So that is why we have to go for volume. But we are very confident that no matter how much we do, the ultra luxury experience will not be tarnished. And only it will be enhanced because the new products they are developing in a way. Even in a resort itself, there are smaller private areas for groups, for families to have. And even in the one resort with integrated model, they are having smaller other resorts within that. So we will have volume, but it will have a element of quality. It will have the element of privacy, but we want to make sure that Maldives is accessible. And one area that I wish to highlight is we are making Maldives accessible for people with special needs, people who are challenged to travel. But they deserve to experience Maldives. So those things are there. Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, and to those who have all been asking questions, which have been coming in, I hope I managed to ask some of them. I apologize that I haven't been able to ask all of them, but that shows the level of demand and interest. And I think we've only just touched on this as a subject. There are all kinds of other questions I would like to ask, not least about cold storage, distribution, solar, energy, golf courses. I think we better have another of these webinars down the line to and then try and answer all these other questions we haven't been able to have time to do today. But in the meantime, I want to thank you all, Minister, all of you very much indeed, all the panelists, for taking part in this. I hope you found it useful, and I hope that as a result, we're going to see an increase in investment in Malta, Rwanda, Sri Lanka, and the Maldives. And I see no reason why we shouldn't. And it just remains for me to thank you all on behalf of the panel, those of you who've also tuned in for joining us today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. I see you next time, and I hope to welcome you in the Maldives.
We're on the way.
And Rwanda, we are coming for the
WTTC.
WTA event. Look forward to see you there.
Yes, you're very welcome. We look forward to welcoming you to Rwanda soon.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lord.
Thank
Thanks.
My
Thanks,
pleasure.
everyone. Bye-bye.